All right. Okay, so guys, welcome to this call, and we'll be talking about QA, quality assurance. Quality assurance is a very important topic in technical writing, and I would say I personally enforce that, not like it's a general kind of thing, I just enforce that myself because I see it as something that is very important. Reason is, as a technical writer, before you write, you always test. Very, very important. You always test. And when you go through that testing process, it makes you understand that very, very well. So testing and making sure the quality of what you're testing, is top notch. I don't see a reason why a technical writer will write something and he or she doesn't really understand much about that topic. So the question is, how then did you now, do that stuff? It's cause it's kind. I would say it's kind of funny. So let's understand what QA is. So right now I won't be talking about the automated part because you don't need to learn much about the in-depth part of the QA. You understand, but you don't need to understand more about that. So I'll be talking about the manual part of it. So manual QA, which is quality assurance. Now, okay, before I explain more about that, so let's just understand why they called it quality assurance. So we have two important keywords there: quality and assurance. So as a technical writer, when you're writing your technical articles or when you're building your docs, like say that yeah, her company's doc is looking messy and it can't help anybody really understand about that. So that will tell us one thing, that that particular docs does not have good quality. It's just like when you buy a shoe from the market. I know about people, they have probably, I don't know how they coined that name, that once they say something is about made, it tells you that that is fake. So if you see me putting on a shoe, you tell me, this is about made. So before you call it a damage, you already know that this shoe doesn't have quality. You understand? So that is very, very important. So when you're writing an article, you would know that yes, this article has quality because looking at it, nobody will get confused. Nobody will probably be looking for who to ask just to understand what you wrote. So that is why we need to understand this topic very well. Quality assurance. So the quality of this article, I can assure you that this article has quality. That's QA. So if a QA person, so if, yeah, it's a straight bullet to about people. Yeah, so if a QA person tests what you have built, let's say you built a login screen, and the QA person tests that, he would now, what the person is trying to do, that the person is trying to check that the quality of what you built, that he can assure people that this particular UI you built has good quality, meets the standard. So that is the reason for QA, just to check that this meets the standard. This does not have a bug. Customer will not have issues using this. That tells you that that has quality, and you can assure somebody that yes, this is it. It's just like you have a tailor in your, and you have somebody that stays in Abuja, all the way from Abuja down to Port Harcourt. Now you're telling the person, I can assure you that this my tailor is very, very good. You know what that means? That this my tailor is very, very good. So you don't need to be scared, okay? You can just send your measurements. He will give you a very nice quality clothes. You said okay, no problem. You would send your measurement and he will do everything. Send the clothes. Now, when you wear the clothes, you will like, wow, even the material has quality. So you, after wearing that clothes, touching the materials and everything, within you, you have that assurance that this person gave me a quality work. So I need to refer people to that person. So just like the joke that we have seen almost everywhere, which is real. What I got versus, how did they put it? Like what I got versus what you give to me or that about. So and imagine that person is your detailer, you refer to somebody. They were like, hey, so you gave me somebody that is not up to standard. Look at the kind of work he gave to me. The work has no quality. And there is no way you can refer somebody to that person. So if you have that mindset, the word I order, yeah, but what I got. So yeah, if you have that mindset as a technical writer, it's very important. So the definition they have here is manual QA is an important process in software development that involves testing software to ensure it meets quality standards and is free of bugs and error. So that is QA for you. Like I said earlier, the quality and the assurance, which means you are assuring me that this article, this content, has a good quality. Quality in the content, I mean, is free of errors like punctuation, misspelled words, and you're not using you're supposed to use first person pronoun, you're using third person pronoun, like your article has everything it should have and it's not missing out anything. It has images that will help somebody understand what you wrote. Even in your images, like I have seen people do assignments where they're supposed to add labels, these arrows. You're not adding the arrows to help somebody understand what you have written so far. That means that your article is less than in the quality. So if you understand how QA works, you will scrutinize yourself to make sure you bring out all those bugs, those issues, and fix them before you send it out to the public. That is the reason why if you have developers in the build, you see developers don't always like QA people. They don't find it funny because after building for 3 days, you give the QA guy, he will just give you like 16 tags out of what you've built. So imagine you did the QA yourself. Let me just scrutinize myself and be real that, yes, this is the problem. This is what I should fix. You would see that the QA person might even tell you everything is fine. Or, okay, I just found one or two things I think you should fix. They're always checking for vulnerabilities. So we should always do that when we write our content. So as a technical writer, understanding manual QA process is important to ensure documentation accurately reflects the software being tested. And if you're working with a QA person, if you have an opportunity working with a QA person, that would be awesome. Most of us might not have that, but if you do have, that would be awesome. So now the benefit of manual QA. So manual QA helps ensure software is functional and user-friendly, enhancing user experience and satisfaction. So now this is very, very important. So like they said, it helps ensure. So the QA person, after doing the manual stuff, the testing, what they do is manual testing, try to check. For example, you have a login screen and in the password, you want the password to have just numbers alone. You should accept only numbers. There are passwords they call it PIN. And PIN should only accept numbers and nothing else. Imagine where a PIN, the developer will write and the PIN is accepting alphabet, accepting symbols. So as a QA person, you would check that. And after checking that, a developer, this is a PIN, and this PIN should only accept numbers alone. I should not accept anything outside numbers. So try to fix it. Now he's making sure that a PIN should be only numbers alone. Now, what if you have a password for those that are into software development? I know that back then through what they call it SQL injection. So they hack you through when your input box accepts symbols. So they use those symbols to have access to your DB and do what they want to do. So as a QA person, you would like, okay, because they do hacking like this, I wouldn't want this input box to have anything except just numbers and alphabet alone, no symbols. So that is what they're checking for, to make sure that meets the standard. Very, very important. And then they're also putting themselves like a user. So when you're writing your article, put yourself like a user. If I'm a user now reading this thing, will I understand this line? Like I saw some assignment, I was probably asking myself, the person that wrote this, did he or she ask themselves questions like this line or this image without this label, if it should be something else, will I be happy seeing that? Wouldn't I really want something much, much better than, you get to ask yourself questions. So the next point is it helps identify and fix bugs and errors before software is released to the public. Now, there is something important, which is one, that reduce the risk of costly recalls or loss of reputation. So when you write articles at times, like I could remember in the first cohort, one of the mentees wrote an article. Is it about um about Upright, and the other one about I've forgotten the other company. And one of them also wrote that wasn't part of the assignment, which is what I love. He just picked up something and wrote about Quillbot. Let me type it in the chat. So he wrote about Quillbot, and Quillbot reached out to him, and they're very much happy about it. So I don't know what happened afterwards, but they are very happy about what he wrote. He just picked up that and wrote. I read it, and I was so much impressed with what he did. So imagine writing something about Quillbot, and Quillbot will reach out to you and tell you, "Hey, we saw what you wrote, but we'd not like you to publish it because we don't understand. We don't think this would reflect a good image of us, and don't tag us." You can imagine that kind of like within you feel so embarrassed, but you wrote something and you published, and Quillbot reached out to you that, "Hey, we saw what you wrote. That was very nice. Thank you so much for writing this. Like, with so much love that we'll reach out to you if there is any opportunity." Like, you know that you did something very fine. So what we should understand is in QA is more about scrutiny. They scrutinize, they check, like they make sure. It's just QA is just, let me say, QA in real life is just like when, for those that have rats disturbing in their homes. Imagine you have a rat. Your work is to make sure you look for that rat. Like, you're using techniques that nobody expects you should use just to make sure you fish out that rat. You're thinking about ways to fish out for the rat, scattering everywhere. Places you're looking for your clothes, and you know that my clothes shouldn't be in an open place. You'll be scattering, and you just be looking at open places as if you want to see your clothes there. So that is what you should have in your mind when you write an article. Scrutinize yourself. Look at what you have done and ask yourself questions. QA always ask questions when they look at what somebody has built. They were like, okay, as a user, if I should click this button, what should I expect? Should I expect this or should I expect this? Then what if I want to click this button, not the way they built it? I want to click it. Sometimes they will say click next, and you have back. Instead of clicking the next, I usually want to click back to see what happens back. And sometimes when you're filling a form, you click back, you see that what you have filled so far will jump off. And that will make you as a user feel bad. So a QA person would like, what if I don't want to click next? I want to click back. Let me see what happens. So when he clicks back and everything wipes off, he will like, oh, okay. So this will make user angry that what they filled so far has disappeared because they click back. So the developer, please look for a way to save what they feel so far. Even if it gets to the last stage before submit, save everything so that they don't get to miss out anything. So when as a user you get to use that product, you click next. Oh, I need to fill out something. Let me click back. You click back to the first form, and everything is still intact. You make your changes, click next, everything is intact to the last page, and you submit. If you're telling yourself the truth, you would know that you would recommend that software or that product or that form to anybody to fill. But imagine where you're filling a form and you click back. And let's say you are at the last stage, you just click back. Let me fill this first thing. And you say, okay, let me go to the next. Okay, you click to the last stage and you're not seeing what you have. Okay, let me go back to where I came from. And everything disappeared. You feel so frustrated. And as a user, you might even, if it's an app, you will go over to Google Play Store and write a very bad comment. So QA, what they do, they are always trying to avoid that bad reputation, that bad comment you see people drop on Google Play Store, Apple Store, or the bad comment people drop in the comment section of the content written by a company or an individual. So that is what, if you don't do it right, that is what you will get, a bad reputation. And in business, a bad reputation is a huge loss, because if, like the example I gave of a tailor, if after giving the tailor what I expected and the tailor gave me what I got, I will take it just like the way we do right now. Everybody will take it to social media, and I look at what I was expecting, and this is what I got from this person. And if the person is on Twitter, I will tag the person, and that is bad business. So meaning that that person has a bad business. So other people, they have seen that, okay, this person couldn't even do this simple design, which means you've lost a lot of people. So in business, if you lose one person, you have lost 10,000 customers. So that is why most businesses, they have customer rep, that no matter how angry you are, no matter what you say, they will always want to calm you down, because they don't want to lose you. Because they know if they lose you, they've lost 10,000 other persons, because you will go back and say, hey, have you read about that article? That is crap. Just go and see that nonsense for yourself. Maybe say trust Nigerians. Me, don't waste my time and read what you just, no, I cannot do that. So what is that name of that, the person that wrote it again? They get your name and they will spread it across. Don't read. And you're expecting to have 1,000 persons, 1,000 people come to your site to read your content, and you're not getting it because you lost one person, and that person dropped a bad reputation that will affect you for years. No matter your SEO skills, that person will keep. Now, okay, let's say you have a section for a comment section, and the comment is there. When people, through your SEO skills, other people came to the site, that once they go through your content that doesn't have any good quality, they get angry. And like myself, sometimes if I open a video and I'm not understanding the video, I'll just let me check the comment section. Once I read through the comment section, I just see people are saying, I don't understand, this is rubbish, I'll just jump off. I don't like dropping comments, I will just jump off. So you have the people that will not drop comments, but they will read and they'll go off, but they can talk. You have the ones that will talk and they will still drop comments. So it's very, very important for us not to lose anybody. And content is very difficult to probably really understand when you have lost somebody. You understand? Compared to other means, so you have a content you have written on Medium and they didn't use the comment section. How will you know you've lost somebody? You won't have any idea. So it's very, very important for us to make sure we check. So that is why I would advise us to have peer review. I'll call it peer review mates, where you have people that you can regularly go and check. Okay, look, I've written this thing. Can you just go through, be honest, go through what I've written and check if you can see this or see that or see this. They'll go through it, give you a few tips, and you will have a very good content up there. So I guess maybe at the end of this class, I would share a link to go through a Google Analytics course. If you have done that before, fine. If you have not done that, I think it would be very nice for us to go through that course. That course will help us understand, how people interact with what you have written so far. So when you write something that is not cool, you probably have an insight of how people react to what you have written. So that would help you improve what you have written so far. Okay, so now let's talk about okay, let me give one point about the manual process of QA. So the manual process of QA involves testing software features and functionalities, recording and reporting any bugs or issue, and verifying that the bugs have been resolved. Very, 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 very important. So that manual process involves testing the software. So let's say you as a technical writer, you want to write about a software feature built by a developer. So that tells you that you're more like a QA person, because you're testing it, because you're not the one that built it. You want to understand how it was built. So you have a call with the engineer. First thing first is you record the call as an SME that you want to be. You record the call with the engineer so you don't go back and be asking the person series of questions. So you have a call, you record the call, and you go back to the video, as many times as you want to understand what he or she said there. Then you test that software. So let's say, for example, you want to document the login screen of one of the products of a company. So what you have to do in the login screen that has email, password, login button, and forgot password, then you have a menu button up there. So before you would, just like your labs assignment, you tested it yourself. You did not just go online and watch a video. You had to test it yourself. Click the password, put your password, click the email, put your email, click the login, and you're sure that it logs in. And you're now, just like they said, recording. So you're recording, taking screenshots of every step you're doing. That would now make you really understand much about that. So now that makes you an SME of that product, because you can tell people that this product does this and this product can do this, or this product you can do this, you can upload, you can't upload. You're just like the developer because you have that chance to test it. So as a technical writer, like I've seen assignments, this second assignment, and most of them I'm really impressed. Like I'm so much impressed. I'm wowed because the amount of time spent on the assignment was worth it. And that shows that most of us really understand this topic even before today, because they had to take their time to test. And I think probably this week or thereabouts, we'll have to go through and do check for those that we'll have to pick out one winner for the assignment, because this second assignment has a price tag, $100 Amazon gift card that will be given to any person that will win by the CEO of Labs himself. So have a call and he'll pick the winner, then you follow up from there. So like I said earlier, I'm impressed. The second assignment is so much good. Most of you did your very best. Like you went over the limit. If they say sky is your limit, you cross the sky, you went to close to heaven. If heaven is up there, you went close to heaven for real, because reading most of the assignment, I can understand that most of you spent your time testing labs, understanding what labs does. Some went as far as touching the aspect of the YouTube, writing more, and I could see that some even did a few things themselves, not like you just went open a page and take screenshots. Some really did that. So imagine we say write about, just like assignment, write about Glabs, and you just open Glabs, you didn't test Glabs, you just open the Glabs, you went to what somebody had written before about Glabs, and you copy and copy and copy. That is not nice. But imagine you tested that yourself and you're writing from what you understood. That is marvelous. And even during interview, you can tell that yes, I did this task, and this is okay. What if they give you an interview task and one of the features had an issue? Is a more like they purposely put the issue there, but they want to know that you did that yourself. So while testing, you would notice the issue, and that is where this QA idea comes in. You would now note it down that while testing, I also noticed that this has a problem. Imagine the person that will view your tax might not want to check any other thing. He just want to go through what you have done. He will just go through that section and look for that issue and see that you wrote about the issue. You take it to the next stage, because that is the major tax on that assignment. So it's very important for us to test. When they say write about something, I don't expect anybody to go online and copy or go and watch a video. No, test it yourself. The reason why when you go to the hospital and you tell a doctor that I'm having this, I'm having that, I think I'm having fever, having some headache, I'm suspecting malaria. Doctor will tell you, what did he say? If you say suspect, say, I don't need that suspicion, but just tell me what you think what you're feeling right now. So after telling them what you feel, he would not tell you, okay, this is what I think you should do. Now go to the lab and do a test. Now he would now take the test results. So whatever you're telling him, he's just noting it down for you to do a test. So when you go to do the test, he will now get the test result. So he is believing the test results more than what you tell him from the mouth, because the symptoms you're feeling might be caused by anything. So what he wants to be sure is that, yeah, the test result is out, and from the test result is malaria or typhoid or is something else. So you cannot go to a doctor and you tell the doctor, I think it's malaria. It's okay. Go and get the malaria medicine. If you've seen such hospital, I would advise you run and also report them, because they'll be killing people. So technical writing is just like that. You don't just write what you're not sure of. Like I said, the doctor must be sure that it's malaria through your lab results. So don't go online and watch a video and no. Make sure you have an opportunity to test that through. Like my company, they wanted me to write about a hardware tool that we want to use. I'm in Nigeria, they're in US. What they did is I told them, see, I can't write this thing from a video or something, or I'll be having a video with the other person. No, I would like to test it myself so that I would understand and take the real screenshot I want. Except it is too difficult, then I might probably go through the pain. But which means I would need you to do everything I want you to do, just like I would do it if it's here with me. So they said, okay, we'll send it down. And they had to send it down. So when they sent it down, I received it. I did the testing myself, took the screenshots myself, and then reported some issues I found. And they said, wow, wow. I said, imagine you didn't send this to me. I wouldn't have known this. So it's very, very important for you to test and write. So don't just go online and copy. No, test it yourself, write from your experience. Very, very important. And that would not make you an SME. That would not make it difficult for companies to let you go, because you're an SME. SME means you're a subject matter expert. You're an expert in that field. So in my company right now, there are very few persons that know much about that hardware too, and I'm one of them. So how did I become one of them? Because I told them I need to test it. Very, very important. Okay, so now let's go over to the next phase. So this says the role of technical writers in manual QA. So one, technical writers may work closely with QA teams to understand software features and functionalities and verify that documentation accurately reflects the software being tested. So the QA is all about testing, testing, testing. Now, in most companies that are huge, they always have an editor. So whatever you write, the editor would go through it and try to look for issues. If he or she doesn't find any issue, then you cross over. So it's very important for us to really understand that. And it's very important if we have an opportunity to work with a QA person. Like I did work with a QA guy some years ago, and that has helped me a lot. Very, very important. So then the next one we have here is technical writers may also be responsible for updating documentation to reflect changes made during the QA process. So having that relationship with your QA person is very, very important. And also understanding the QA process would help you a lot. Because when you know that the QA person, if you get holds of any task, the first thing he's doing is to look for problem, look for vulnerability. So if you have that idea when you're writing your content, that will make your content top notch. So when you're done with your first draft and you want to probably make changes to get your final draft for submitting, what you should be looking at is, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? I don't know if any of us, can you just respond in the chat? If any of us have done this before, you after writing your first draft, you finish the second draft, maybe getting to your final draft, you will still read your article from start to finish to just look for something to fix. Have anybody ever done that before? Or we just read part to part? So respond in the chat. Let me see. Okay. Always. Wow, that's fine. So it's very, very important because you're just going through that. And reason for you to do that is just to check for issues. What did I do wrong? Or what didn't I do wrong? Or what did I miss? So you should have that at the back of your mind. When you're done with your work, the next thing to do is a question. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? When you look at your content with that mindset, you probably see, okay, I missed out this. I need to add this. And again, something else to note, which I learned from my QA guys, he has a note, he adds issue ideas. Like you want to write, you want to check for a login screen. There are certain things he checks first before doing any other thing that comes to his head. That any login screen I see, these are the things I want to check. Very, very important. So you can also put that in your technical writing, you know, I'll call it technical writing manual to yourself. That this is when I'm done writing, I have a manual that I use in scrutinizing what I've written so far. So maybe, for example, when in my manual, I'll make sure I use Grammarly to go through, check it in Grammarly. Maybe my manual, I will always check for images that needs labeling. There are every sections that I think that should have images. I need to add images. These are the things you need to think about. So what he does is for login screens, he always checks for vulnerabilities. Like if a login shouldn't have any symbol, at least once he's done with the manual, then after the manual, and even before he's done with the manual itself, he has started seeing things started coming out. The developers are angry. And whenever I just see, back then I was fully an Android engineer. So whenever I just see his call or message or wisdom, can we have a call? Maybe whenever you're free. I just know that this guy has seen something. So if I see his message, I will like, go, just let me be. Tomorrow we'll talk, let me rest. So he's always now, that is for someone that is within your team that wants to make sure we have a standard app. But imagine your users are not the QA because your users are QA already because they're using it and they are testing it. So while you're using it, they will find issues. And if they don't have a way to let you know that this is a problem, they will take it out to their friends and, hey, I've checked this and this is crap. And that is it. You started losing reputation. You started losing customers. You started losing potential readers. And, you will not feel happy with the result. And like most of us here, I know you probably, I don't know if you do this after writing a content, 2 weeks later or 1 week later, you go to your content to check if you see you go and check the number of persons that have read, you check some other stats that will probably, make you feel happy that, okay, this content is doing fine. And you go there and you're not seeing that, you can imagine how you feel. That is one. Secondly, that is why I want you guys to learn about this Google Analytics. You would not see 1,500 persons read your content in 1 week. You will like, wow, I've blown, man. I don't blow, man. 1,005. So which means, most people are like mathematicians. So if 1,500 persons check my content this week, so next week will be 1,500, that's 3,000. So by the end of the month, so be having like 6,000. So let me make it round figure. Okay, but like 6. No, let me 7. Okay, let's say like 8,000. Okay, you're doing mathematics. But if you use Google Analytics, that is what we call bounce rates. People just come, boom, and they are off. But it is recorded that, yes, this person visited. But it is not recorded that this person spent a few seconds. So you wrote an article, I just jump onto the article. One. The first, your introduction just threw me off balance and boom, I'm off. Like no need. Or maybe the image I saw before even, like some persons are just doing glancing. Let me just see if I will see something that will catch me up. In less than 1 minute, the person is off. And your article is in 11 minutes read. And you're having somebody spending less than 1 minute. What did the person read? Or what did the person check? So when you understand Google Analytics, that would help you know that, okay, this person actually came to my blog, but he or she spent a lesser time, meaning bounce rate, meaning the person did not see that interesting. That is what bounce rate means. So it's important for us to, make sure we work on our content, make sure that the content is top notch, the content has quality, and we can assure anybody that, most of us there can testify that there are articles you've written that you can't share with people. Because you feel that I know that this article is not, good. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't meet up to standard. You have that, like you can beat your chest that I know that this thing, it's not it. So it's very important for us to have that QA mindset, that quality is very, very important in everything we do. Because what the QA guys do is that they make sure that the quality of that app, the quality of that software is top notch, and they can assure anybody that is in the product that you won't find issues. Or even if you do find issues, you will find issues that will not make you go away. You understand? So it's important for us to have that at the back of our mind. So manual QA is an important process in software development that helps ensure software is functional and user friendly. So you don't send out a software that is not working. Users will just go off. And technical writers play an important role in ensuring documentation accurately reflects the software being tested. So imagine you have a working login. Okay, let's say you have an updated login UI on your documentation already, but the QA guys they have already, made told the engineers make changes and all that, and you're not working with them. You don't even have much idea how it works. The new UI, but you have the old one out there. So when a user is using the software with a new UI and goes over to the documentation and sees the old UI, that will deter them off. So when you work with the QA guys, because the QA guys, they are always updated, always checking for problems. Because like my company, former company, what they do is whatever we build, even if you just want to build one very smart thing, give it to the QA guy to test to make sure that that thing meets standard. So once we do that, we test, okay, it's fine. Then the next thing is publish. So the documentation guy would always work with the QA guy. Okay, what changes did you make this week? Okay, this is what I made. Okay, let me go and update it. Now you also now do that same testing he did to get your screenshot to understand what it works, how it works, to also now add more content to what you have. And some cases might even change the entire content of that login just to suit the new one. So it's very, very important to work with the QA and also think like a QA. Like I said, in most cases, you might not work with the QA because of the company, because most companies take it that the engineer will do the QA, and that's it. And as an engineer, I can tell you for free that an engineer will not like to scrutinize his or her own work. Like they will just want to build, is working fine. Okay, the other person will just go and do code review, check that the code is fine, this is fine, this is fine, and you push it. But the QA guy is not just checking your code structure, it's checking the UX, user experience of that feature or that tool. How will user use this and how will they feel using this? That is just his work. It doesn't have any business in your code review. It's just checking the UX of the product. So you have an editor that is acting like a QA in technical writer. So the editor will be checking for plagiarized content, be checking for misplaced words, misspelled words, punctuation issues, checking for things that should be somewhere that is not there, images, code sections, this and that, and some other things that they feel that should be there. If everything is fine, you go ahead. But if everything is not fine, they will now tell you, okay, we think so far what we have there is fine, but you need to fix this so that when we send it out to users, they would not feel very bad. Because as a user, if I'm going through something and I am telling myself that how I wish there is an image here that will explain this thing, or maybe the image of this particular section, this will help me understand this area very fine. That would that will be fine. And your dogs, that is why I advise that most dogs should have a feedback form or a feedback session. So users will go ahead and drop feedbacks. So that way you improve the dogs to help them. So if you scrutinize your work very well, you probably wouldn't miss that. Secondly, if you have a peer review group, that would now help also improve that course. Your peer review person will tell you this area you did, I think you need to add this thing. I'm suspecting that people will really need this image to help explain this next step or the step before. So it's very important. So if you're in a company that has a QA person, I would say be very close to that QA person because you will learn a lot that would improve your writing and improve your culture of writing, because some persons would just want to write and wouldn't want to scrutinize themselves. They just, I mean, I've written this thing, I cannot rewrite this. Have you ever felt that laziness of you have seen an area you would want to make, like you've seen that the amount of changes will be a lot. Let me give an example. You added, you're giving a guide to write about, let me use glass, and in your image, you're giving numbers. When you give an arrow, you put, if you use Anotly, you see they have that section for numbers. You add those numbers and you didn't add the numbers, you just added the arrow. So which means if you change the image to add numbers to the image, you probably need to go and change your content to add numbers. And because of the numbers there, you might make massive changes in that content. And you know that if you make those changes, it will improve that area of your article, and it will also help, not just improve, it will also help any person. It will make it very easy for people to really understand. But within you, you're like, hi, how can I make these changes? Like, this is a lot for me. I don't think I can. Let me just leave it like that. I cannot do that. But if you give that to an editor, the person will tell you, look at this thing is important, add it. But if you don't have anybody to edit your work, you will within yourself, you like, let me leave it. I don't think it. If they read this part, they will understand. This part will not be a problem. You are not advising yourself. Let me read it. It's okay. If I send it to this guy, now he would now look for more things to fix. Let me just leave it. And you've left it. And the next thing is people are not interacting well with, you're not having much engagement with your work. It's very simple. Most people want to call village people that don't have any idea that you're a technical writer. You're blaming innocent people. So, you know, you don't need to blame village people this time around. I can assure you that their hands are they are innocent in this scenario. So think like a QA person. That will be the takeaway for today. Think and act like a QA person when you write your article or when you build a doc, or when you find yourself doing anything in life. Very, very important, act like a QA person, because I would say QA are perfectionists. Let me put it that way, because they are always making sure that they are perfect in what they are doing. Because if anything goes wrong, they will blame, as in the blame will be on them, starting from the manager, project manager, and down to the QA person. Because they will say the developer have built whatever he or she have built, but you as a QA person, you're supposed to catch that bug. You're supposed to make sure that this, and what is the QA again? Like I said, quality assurance. So you assured the public that this feature has quality, meets the standard. But right now, it's not meeting the standard. So they're not blaming the developer. They will blame the QA person. So which means if you write a content that is not good, and I'm telling you right now that if I go online and see any assignment that is not good, I will blame you a bit. Okay. So I will not blame you entirely, but I will put more blame on the mentors for letting that slide, for letting that go to the public, because it is their duty, as I'll call them the QA persons in this scenario, to check your work and make sure everything meets standard. And if it doesn't, then they will take the blame, because it's more like the last table it will get to before it gets to the public. So if they don't find out that you're supposed to add an image here, You're supposed to use this. You're not supposed to add this. You're supposed to use a period here after your full stop. You're not supposed to do this. They didn't see that and they let you publish that. They will take 90% of the blame. Then you, as a technical writer, would now take 10% of the blame. But that 10% is more like the 90% because you are the author. So it is your work and not their work. So you're supposed to make sure you have everything 90%. So that in case they miss out anything, because they're humans, that is why we have some QA software. So for humans that will miss out stuff, the software will catch the other parts. So for humans that they are, so when they miss out, you're not just putting out a lot of work for people out there. So um so that is all for today. So the takeaway is think like QA, act like QA, and if you have a QA person, even if the person doesn't work in your company, once in a while, try to just chat up with the person to just tell him, or just chat up for the person to tell you how how they tend to scrutinize work. So, like I said, you can have a manual you use to check your work. So when they tell you this is what and what and what I check out for, you can convert that to writing and check that out for your own self. So, okay, when I'm writing, I will also use this to check. And in case somebody wants to scrutinize my work, I might, like your peer group, I might also say, okay, let's have, can you just take this? I have a manual using checking my work. Can you take this manual to also include in what you're using to scrutinize my work? That would help me push out the best. That would be fine. And QAs are not always in a hurry. So when they say do an assignment, when they say do an interview task, don't be in a hurry to submit. You're always the first to submit doesn't make you the best. Most of the time, the person that submits last will be the best because he or she has taken so much time to put out the quality content. So it's important for us to follow those steps. So do you have any question? So let me look for the link while I wait for questions. Yeah, I can go on with question. Go ahead, Duru.
Okay, my question is, what if you're writing an article and you find out and you discover an error, for example, as let's say that you are writing about glaps and then you now discover an issue. How do you give them the feedback, and how, since like you are just writing it to improve yourself, how do you not give the feedback, or do you just include the error in the article you are writing?
Okay, yeah, that's a nice question. So as a writer that you are, and you notice a problem, so that's why I talked about the feedback section. So if they have a feedback session, you can go ahead and add that while going through this, I found this and I found that, and I think this needs to be improved. That will give you so much chance. If they want to hire, they can easily hire you. But if they don't have any feedback session, then I would advise you probably tag them on any of their social media handles to add that. Then you can also, while writing, you can also include that in your article. So that would let users know that when you get to this section, this is what you will see, but it is an error, and I think they'll fix it soon. So you probably add it like a note. Note, this section has this. So when you see, you don't think it's a new feature. You understand? Because developers say some errors are features, or some bugs they will turn to new feature. So don't think this is a new feature. This is a bug. And you can also just know that this is a bug. You're letting the user know that when they get to this point, they will know that this is the bug. That would help them understand it very well. So you can use any means you want, add it in the article to help users understand that that is a bug and it's not a new thing to them. And also tag the company as a way to help them improve it so they can reduce that. And like I said, QA are always updated. So when you when you notice that they have fixed that bug, How will you notice? Is by testing. So when you test, okay, the bug is off, you go back to your article and update it. That you update by removing it, so people will know that the bug has been removed. All right, so we have one other question. So did I answer your question, Jordan?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, so we have, please can you share the slide? Yeah, I will do that later. It's not like a slide though, but I will share that. So, okay, yes, hear from Victoria.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Good afternoon. Okay, so my question is, as a technical writer, you mentioned about the quality assurance person you had in your team or something. You're trying to give us an analogy of how he works. That he has a step by step stuff he does like for every like particular feature he's testing. So I want to ask, is there like a tool or tools or techniques or like a step by step guide for technical writers for each article that we want to write and that will follow? Yeah, that's my question.
okay. For me, there is no tool. It's more like it's something you would want to do if you want to, and it's not something everybody does. But it helps when it comes to documenting. So you have a standard way of doing it. Just like we have the writing style guide, that is like a guide that will always guide you when you're writing to make sure that everything is concise and everything is not, you're not having duplicated content or different ideas. You know, some persons when they write article, you would see, which I'm looking for a very good example for that. They would use some areas, they will use bullets, use some areas they will use numbers, like using bullet and numbers interchangeably in the whole article. You know, that is not consistency in some way. And some other areas too, you see people, they will add images that they need to add a label to explain. They have other areas, they will have image with label. Some areas, the image really needs label even much more than the first one, but they wouldn't add a label. That is not consistent. So you cannot have a manual, like I said earlier, you can say, okay, in my images like this would have a label, images like this wouldn't have a label. You know, at this point, I would, it's just like you're having your own manual, like your own writing style guide that is not in Google. There are certain things that are not in Google that you want to add. So like the QA guy, I've forgotten what he most of the stuff, but like for login screen, he always checks for numbers, things that have numbers, input that accept symbols, accept numbers. If it's a pin, it must accept only number. So he just has those things listed out, which whenever he's checking, he would always use that to check. So for me, the writing style guide will cover that for you. But to have additional other things that would help is you can have a little manual that you would list out important things you're checking. So when you keep writing articles, there are certain things you come along the line, you would, okay, let me document this, that I think it's important for me to always add stuff like this. Let me give an example again, like this ChatGPT, you know, it has prompts, you know, and you see people selling prompts. So how do they do the prompts? You know, they have been trying different prompts and they're getting good results. They are now, you know, documenting those prompts and they will not sell it out. You see, I have 500 prompts, 300 for marketing, 100 for developers, this for project managers, this for CEOs, this for CTOs, and we'll sell it out for some amount because they have been doing it over time and they're documenting those steps. So and we have some other people that don't need documenting. They just have it that, okay, I just have to understand that this is the way it works. Whenever I get to this thing, I must add this, I must add that. So Victoria, it's up to you. If you want to probably have a document, you would be listing that stuff. That is one. Secondly, is something like myself, I don't have, but I just know it myself because I understand that this needs to work. So, and again, to help that question, when we get to the documentation section, you know, you get to understand about how to check for the bad dogs and how to improve the bad dogs. So in at that stage, you would now, that is when you make the decision of should I be documenting this so that I will check, or should I just leave it and I know that I will not miss out on that. So it's a different thing. You choose if you want to have it or if you don't.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so Victoria said, so I would like to know the QA you have worked with. Are they technical? Yes, very technical. Do they have technical know-how? Yes, yes. Most of them are even they are software engineers. They know how to code, but they might not be pros in that, but they know how to code. They understand your code and they know it. So that is why, as a technical writer too, you need to understand code because you cannot write about a programming language you don't even know how to write the basic code. Even let's say, let me call it the list as hello world. You don't know how to write in JavaScript. There is no way you can document a JavaScript build a project built in JavaScript. You can't do that. If you want to talk about API docs, you need to understand how API works, REST API or Graph API, depending on anyone your company is using. You need to understand how they work before you can document it. So technical writing has that technical behind the writing. So you need to be very technical. So QA guys, they are technical too. So if they're not technical, they cannot, assure you of the quality of a technical software or a technical tool or technical feature. Okay, so let's hear from her. Your name is always giving me issues. Or Ogenerobo. Ogenerobo.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Thank you for the class today. So, I got my internet was bad while you were answering Victoria's question. But my question is almost similar but a bit different. So, I work with research papers and case reports. That's what my full-time job is. And when you're helping an author work on their papers to submit to journals, every journal has like a set of guidelines, formatting instructions that they use to ensure that the quality of the paper that you're submitting is like it meets whatever standard it is they want. And I remember when we did the first assignment, we were told to use the Google style guide, which I tried to go through, but there was a lot of information. And I think somehow I also stumbled on, I don't know if it was Microsoft style guide, but basically there was a lot of information, how to use verbs, um, compared to maybe what I would normally see on journal websites, like they'll just tell you use this text, use this font, and things like that. It was quite a lot, and it was so much that I mean, it was overwhelming when I tried to go through the Google style guide. So my question is this: first of all, I know that for freelancers and based off of what we've learned from the content marketing class and today's class, we get to decide a lot of how, like, a lot about ensuring the quality of your work, what style guide you want to use, what's your content, your content framework, and all of that. But my question is, in situations where maybe someone has a full-time job as a technical writer, are you like, who decides the guide that is used, the style guide, and all of those things, the content creation framework? Who makes the decision on what is going to be used? And then so if I'm working with an organization, is it possible that I get, or let's say even if I'm a freelancer and I get jobs with different organizations, just one of jobs, am I expected to now go and read an entire style guide? Like, for example, if two different companies are using two different style guides and they request that you have to use it, how can we navigate, like, going through whatever requirements, quality requirements it is that they might want, and still meet the required standard? Do we have to read the entire guide in addition to testing the product and speaking with subject matter experts? So is there a way to go around that?
Okay. So the first one is decided by the lead technical writer or maybe head of content or documentation manager. They always decide that. But if you don't have anyone and you're a lone writer, then you do this on yourself. Because when I joined my company, I was like the only writer then. So I told them this is what I want to use. Because they hired you and they know that you're the only person, so they will see you as an expert in that field. So whatever decision you take, whatever you say, they will say, okay, you're good with that. So in that situation, you would decide. But if you have a senior ahead of you, they will decide. Then your second question is very important. Just like when we were growing up, I know most of us we used is it to go see go, you know, we have the English and we have the maths, if I could remember. And we had people then that finished two of them and they are waiting for exams. So it's important for us to that why I gave the writing Google Writing Style Guide. I said I would like everybody to go and study it because whenever you're going through any work, you probably find one thing or the other. You will probably know. Like myself, I've read it, not like I finished it, it's a lot. So when it comes to first, second, and third person pronoun, it's something that I've read and it's just in my head. If I just see it, whenever I read article, technical writing article or technical articles, I just see we. Within my head, I know that this we is not supposed to be here. Like it's supposed to be second person pronoun. Just remove first person pronoun. I or we. I would always note that because I read that. Okay. Now, but like it's important for everyone to have that framework that you would use. Like I said, that is a lot because it's a lot. I said use it because I want people to read the style guide, then go through your work. And again, a way to use the style guide, which I showed, is when you're reading, when you're going through your work, there are certain important areas you always meet, like lists. When you always list stuff, you always get to see it there. So just go to the writing, go to the Google, they have a search for list and you see it. But again, it's a lot. So I will give myself an assignment and I'd like everybody to remind me on that. So let me just craft out a writing framework from Google Writing Style Guide that will probably cover up almost everything you would face whenever you're writing technical articles. So, and that would not be like the normal writing style guide. It would be a little bit small. So it's not be something you would see and you'd be wondering how and where would I start from. So that would guide everybody. So that's an assignment for myself. So just remind me to finish it up. Today is Saturday. Okay, yeah. So next week Saturday I should submit it to. So this is me submitting assignment to everyone here. So it's an assignment to myself. Hope I answered
Thank
the
you,
question.
sir. Yes. Thank
All
you
right.
very
So any
much.
other question before we close? And so this is the link. I've dropped the link in the chat. So I would like everybody to finish this and send your mentors the certificates at the end of. Okay, I'm giving everyone from now till Sunday because we have people working. So from now till Sunday next week, not tomorrow, next week. So next week Sunday, you submit it, the certificate to your mentor, and they have question section. So you need to go through it, calm down, understand it, and answer the questions. If you don't answer the questions, I think they'll give you 1 week to come back and answer it again. So don't rush. Take your time to understand it very well. So this will really help you to really know how to write, and this will help you to know if your content is doing well or not and know how to approach it. So when you know your content is not doing well, you probably know, okay, I need to fix this, I need to fix that, I need to fix some areas. This is taking a real life, let me say, taking the reaction of your users, a real reaction of your users in a feedback form. I might not be harsh. I might probably be a bit polite, but Google Analytics will now give you how they feel. Imagine somebody just jump onto the article and zoom off. That is harsh. So it's telling you that this person or these people, set of persons from this country or from this color or from this tribe, they can imagine, let's say you're having Igbos always going off your article, meaning maybe you wrote something about their tribe that they don't like, or you have Hausas or the Yorubas, they don't always stay on your article. So which means go through it and see if you wrote something that doesn't align with their tribe or probably insults their tribe. Once you fix that, Google Analytics now tell you, okay, the Igbos, the Yorubas, or the Hausas, or the Efik, or the Yoruba people, they are now spending much time on your article, meaning you have corrected that. And you wouldn't get that in the form because some were like, no need of writing the form. Let me just get out. I don't like what he did. Some would be kind enough to send you in the form that fix this. It's important. But this having that knowledge of analytics will let you know how they feel. Like in real time, this is how these people felt when they went through your work. And that would help. So if you combine that with the form, you're giving the users the best because you now know where the problem is coming from and you can quickly fix it. Then you start noticing from the analytics that okay, they are now spending much time on that area on the and not just spending much time, they now move from here. Like go through it. I don't want to explain. This is not a class for that. So just go through it. And it's very, very simple, the beginner friendly. And like I said, they have questions on they have unit 1 to unit 4, and each of them have questions. So go through it, understand, answer the questions. If you understand it better, you get the questions, get the certificate, share it with your mentors, and also share it on social media. And we still have other ones I will give to you to also go through and still share certificates. So it's bomb for everybody because this program is not a program you probably come and I know you're working, but it's not a program you probably come and not be practical. Because if you don't do the practical part of it, then I don't think you probably benefit anything. So that's why you're having lots of assignments and you're not having all these ones, so you're going through. So any other last question before we go? All right. Okay. So thank you guys for joining the call. I appreciate you so much. So have a good night, have a good evening, good morning, and good afternoon.